Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the NetSuite product demonstration of NetSuite SuiteCommerce InStore. My name is Sanjay Nathu. I'm an account executive working with our retail customers out of the Melbourne office, and I've also got Sahar Sakweb on the phone, who is part of our solution consulting team based out of Sydney. So for today's presentation, what we're going to cover off is 4 key areas. We're first going to talk through a few trends that we're seeing in retail today and how retailers are working to unify their online and in-store shopping experiences. I'm then going to provide you with an introduction to NetSuite's SuiteCommerce InStore product, and then hand it over to Sahar to go through a product demonstration. And lastly, we'll end off the session with a question and answers. So as an introduction to NetSuite, NetSuite was founded in 1998 and is the undisputed cloud leader in ERP. We're deployed in over 110 countries and utilized by over 24,000 organizations worldwide, with over $556 million in revenue last year. Some of our customers on the right-hand side include customers like Kitchenware Direct, Williams-Sonoma, Tree of Life, Style Runner, and Wine Market. Customers that have a varied footprint across both omnichannel retail, as well as some customers that are only retail online only, and also then just some point-of-sale only customers. So let's just go ahead and talk about a few things that we've been seeing as our retail customers have been trying to unify their online and in-store experiences. And this has really been a trend that's been coming about in the last few years, is that 10 years ago when people started selling online, they really had 2 separate channels of an online channel and an in-store channel, and the 2 of them were very much disconnected. Today the trend is that retailers are realizing that their stores are not just purely showrooms for their customers to walk in and complete a transaction through that channel. The retail stores are both need to be an omnichannel experience where the customers are receiving the exact same experience that they received online and getting that same experience in store. So some of the features that our retailers are trying to deliver in store is to be able to have digitally enabled inspirational displays in the store. So being able to show other products that aren't available in the store, offering their customers different ways of purchasing so that they can come into store and either self-checkout or go via the traditional point of sale. But as we're seeing those channels merge, what we're also seeing the retail store becoming is also a point of collection for your click and collect type of orders. What we're seeing customers also wanting to do is being able to have products being shipped from their retail stores that may be scattered across the country. So really moving away from having a centralized warehouse that would dispatch all orders through the single for the online channel, but utilizing their key stores within each state to becoming a distribution center for them. The retail store is also becoming a help desk and a support center for customers walking into store, so that the retail store assistant has to be able to deal with any customer issues, whether it be from an online order or an in-store issue, and escalate that up through the business. But also quite importantly, as we're shipping more and more products out via the online channel, customers are wanting to be able to return and exchange those products in the retail store without needing to repackage their product and go to the post office to get that delivered back to a centralized warehouse. So we did some research in conjunction with Accenture, and what we found as we did this customer survey was that we found 78% of consumers are also looking for shopper reviews and ratings when they go into store. So if they are looking at a high-end product in store, they want to know what other customers are saying about that product and whether they believe it is a good quality product and worthwhile purchasing. And it's really enhancing, and as we see so much more of social media coming into our everyday lives, people want that social media extended into their in-store experiences. Quite importantly, we're seeing that 49% of retailers have also picked up and are able to accept online orders being returned into store. But that also does leave 51% of those retailers not being able to accept online orders returned back to store and are forcing their customers to return back to a centralized warehouse and really slowing down their entire sales cycle. And what we are seeing also is that 42% of shoppers do want to return items to nearby stores. And so it's really a validation that customers are wanting to go to the nearby stores, but there is an issue that half of the stores aren't actually able to accept those returns. And those are the brands that are really going to struggle and to retain their brand loyalty, as other brands who can offer a better service offering will most likely gain those customers. So when NetSuite decided to launch and build our new product, SuiteCommerce InStore, we really took a product vision that we needed to try and resolve as much of these issues as possible and deliver a unified shopping experience. So SuiteCommerce InStore as a product is really, its core focus is to be able to deliver a seamless experience to a customer both online and in-store, such that their in-store experience really mimics their online experience, and their retail store staff know everything about this customer record. What it's there for is to enable omnichannel servicing, but also then offers retail sales associates an intuitive and efficient full point of sale. So it's not meant to slow them down, but really just give them much more information. It enables them to have a digital selling tool to be able to suggest upsells and cross-sell products, but also moves them away from having the traditional point of sale that is pinned down to a desktop at the back or front of the store, but really to be mobile so they can be out on the shop floor consulting with customers and selling from the shop floor. And then most importantly, it gives them visibility into inventory across the entire network in real time. So when we look at a few things behind the product, it is from the ground up. It's been designed for mobility so that we can move ourselves away from that fixed retail station at the back of the store. It's been designed for touchscreen tablets, but whilst we have gone into a touchscreen tablet mode, we haven't relinquished on any features and functionality. So we are still delivering a fully featured point-of-sale device just via a mobile tablet. What we are also enabling, though, is really blending that online and in-store experience such that an in-store sales associate is able to call up almost an e-commerce looking product page so they can consult with the customer and say, here's products that we can cross-sell or upsell you. We are able to offer features such as endless aisle, so that we don't need to have every single product in store. We can be talking to customers saying we don't have this product in store, and using the order button on screen, order it from another store, or even order it for pickup at another store as well. We can also then give our store staff full visibility into stock across the sales network as well, so we can get that real-time view of where is this product available for our customer. We're also enabling the retail sales associates to have a much better view of their customers, so that when Fred Jones walks into store, we can very quickly call up his customer record and see what's happening with him. So a few of the features there is we can see he's a silver loyalty customer, his average transaction, but we can also then go ahead and see more information about what has he done with us over his transactional timeline. And this really enables our sales associates to have more information to be able to have a much more personalized experience with the customer. So what this really ends up delivering for our customers, for our retail customers, is that they're able to perform the business functions that they'd always want to, such as ship from DC, ship from store, ship to store, store pickups, etc. Whilst all of these use cases sound really simple, what they do rely on is having a really strong and robust order management system. And so where NetSuite's core has always been to deliver the functionality of a customer being able to buy anywhere. So when we say buy anywhere, that means buy through any channel. So whether it be in the retail store, online, via a telephone order, any channel, they should be able to buy through them. As a retailer, we should be able to fulfill from anywhere. So whether we're going to fulfill this order from any one of our retail stores, or whether we're going to fulfill this from our main centralized DC. And then on the last end of that transaction, allowing our customers to return anywhere, so they can go into return back to DC or return back into store, and really making it a seamless transaction for the customer, whether they're interacting with us either online or in store. To be able to deliver this, it really requires a robust order management system. That's what NetSuite delivers for our customers. So when we do look at why our customers are looking at NetSuite SuiteCommerce InStore, it is for a few key reasons. Is that they are really looking to transform their store to not only being a retail store, but to have a single commerce solution across multiple channels. They are looking to empower their salespeople so they can engage with their shoppers and provide a personalized shopping experience. But most importantly, they're also looking to increase profitability. And really, it's the age-old addict of that they want to go ahead and do more with less. So they want to increase profitability by being able to offer endless aisle, offer cross-sales and upsells from their retail sales associates, and being able to then all the way drive improved profitability through their business. So with that as a very quick introduction to SuiteCommerce InStore, I'm going to hand over to Sahar to take us through our product demonstration.
Thanks, Sanjay. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get started. SuiteCommerce InStore is essentially an exciting product that solves many complicated pain points that Sanjay was spoken about earlier on, and many retailers face today. What we're going to start a demonstration is by looking at the NetSuite online experience, which is what you're seeing up on the screen now. And this is essentially a platform that NetSuite offers by really being able to provide a unified experience through all channels, whether it be online, in-store, through a call center, or even on a mobile device. So what you're looking at now is a website for a company called Generation N, and this is a fictitious company, It specialises in men and women's apparel, sportswear and accessories. Here you can see I'm logged on as Susan Adams, who's a frequent shopper of Generation N. By logging in as Susan, we're now being exposed to certain items based on our shopping history, what we may have liked through social media, or recommendations made to us based on what a merchandiser has set up in Netsuite's back end. What we're seeing here, that we can see that she's added an item to her cart, but she hasn't completed checkout. And by doing so, we can then use standard Netsuite marketing capabilities to email Susan to try and re-engage with her in the hope of converting a sale. So this ties quite nicely into cart abandonment. It isn't really about bringing the item back into NetSuite, essentially, but Generation N is really an experience that allows us to connect with Susan more than just selling her a bit of item. So what we're going to do is we're now going to play the story that she's added an item to her cart, she's going to walk into a store, and we're going to see that journey through an in-store experience. So how I can do that is quite easily just switch my tab across, and now what you're seeing is in a new tab I've got a store associate point of sale in front of me, and this essentially is just a different browser. What you're seeing on the screen here could be run off a fixed terminal, or could be run off a mobile device. If you think of your in-store experience, you can have store associates that are walking around the store on iPads or tablets, engaging with customers as they're walking into the store, or customers are already existing, looking around the store as well. What we can also see here is that the same experience is offered to us in store, and we have the ability to render our screens, natively through responsive design. So this essentially allows us to run our point of sale on any device, as I mentioned earlier on, whether it be a mobile, a tablet or a fixed terminal. So Susan walks into the store, and this technology is now enabling us and the store associate to be more engaged with Susan. So the first thing the store associate will ask for is Susan's loyalty card. And of course, if she's got the card on her, we can simply scan the card using a barcode scanner. But in this case, since I don't have a scanner on me, I'm just going to use the global search and start searching for Susan's name. I could search across her name, her email address, her phone number, any metric that I'm capturing against Susan, I've got the ability to search for within point of sale. Now, as it's an organic search, it allows us to look across items, customers and transactions. So as we type the word Susan in, I can go ahead and filter against my customers, and there is Susan listed against my customer names there. All I have to do now is just click onto Susan's name, and essentially now I've got all of Susan's information at my fingertips. I can see that she's a silver member. I can also start to understand that she's spending about $140 on average per each transaction, whether that be a transaction completed online or in store. The activity timeline, as I scroll down towards the middle half of the screen, is now showing me everything about Susan, how many purchases she's made in the last month or last week or last year, perhaps how many returns she's had and what those returns look like. It allows the store associate to help really build a customer profile around Susan. It also tells the store associate information about the customer very, very quickly. So what the point of sale is also allowing us to do is actually drill down into a transaction directly from the customer's timeline. So I can go ahead and pull up any transaction that I want to, and within a few seconds I can then start seeing information about what that transaction was about. So I can now see that on the 27th of October she's purchased a jacket. I go ahead and actually reprint a receipt if I wanted to, or if this is an item that she was bringing back in store, I can go ahead and quickly start processing the return. So what all this is telling me is really who Susan is and what she's really into. If we scroll down towards the end of the screen, we can then start visualizing the purchases and the returns in a more graphical manner. And this information is now giving me a list of all the purchases and returns that she's made on a month-to-month basis. What I can also see here is how many times she's actually visited my website over the course of the year. So I can see across October, she's come to my website 20 times. Again, giving me information quite easily and quite quickly to be able to draw a really nice conclusion around who Susan really is. And finally, we can then start seeing visually what her purchases, how they're broken down into. And these could be based on merchandise hierarchy or any segment that you want to actually run your business on. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go ahead and add Susan to our transaction. What I want to talk to now is really how we can engage Susan or any customer in a more contextual way. The first thing I'm going to talk to is the hotkeys down the bottom of the screen. Hotkeys really allow me to create generic, dynamic or static items that really enable the store associate to quickly add transactions to the screen. And they could really be used as a tool to upsell and cross-sell into your customer base. Now, because I've added Susan to this particular transaction, these hotkeys could be showing the items that we've triggered via marketing campaigns because we want her to convert, or it could be items that she's added to her cart but hasn't checked out. So that's the particular jacket there. I'm triggering new items based on what she hasn't actually completed on her checkout, so I can go ahead and knowing that information, try and convert that sale straight away. We can also configure other hotkeys around maybe promotions for the week or for the day, perhaps items that are hard to scan in store, or perhaps there's a manager's offers that's running in store for the particular week or day. Hotkeys are really allowed to drive the addition of items quite quickly into the point of sale screen and can also be very, very dynamic. The other more contextual way that I can actually engage with Susan is through this little notepad that is appearing next to her name. If I click on that particular notepad, I now have visibility into her product list. And this is a shared list between all commerce touchpoints and Netsuite, which means when Susan is online, at home or on the road, as she's building product lists or adding items to her cart but not completing her checkout, we now have the ability to access these lists directly at a store level, which means I can now engage with Susan more proactively knowing this information. So again, knowing that she's actually gone in and added a backpack or a jacket or a men's jacket to her cart and having visibility into this information, I can have a more intelligent conversation with Susan when she walks into store. I can also then try and convert that sale by encouraging her to complete it in store. So if that particular jacket, if there was a reason why she added it to her cart but didn't check out, I can go ahead and take that jacket off the shelf, offer it to Susan to try on, and try and encourage her to convert. The final way that I can engage with my customers is to really leverage what we call solver-based searches and really determine what items are at the store associate's disposal. I can use the global search up at the top here to really search across my entire point of sale system, be it customers, items, or individual transactions as they occur. So for example, if I start typing in the word jackets, I can then begin to use faceted navigation, which is the area to the left of the screen that you're seeing, to help filter my search the same way that we do using our e-commerce platform. This again allows the store associate to obtain further information about the items that are being offered in store. So for example, I can go ahead and click on this particular women's jacket. I can see this particular jacket is a matrix item, which means it's offered in many colours and in many sizes. If we scroll down towards the bottom of the page, we can then start to see the art and science of dynamic merchandising. I can then start seeing product recommendations as well as cross-sell and upsell opportunities, which allow me to have more intelligent conversations with the customer. And this merchandising capability is a shared engine across all my touch points. What this really means is that we can start to analyse, any customer who has bought this item, what other items they may have bought, applying a correlation and an uplift to make sure we remove the items that aren't relevant and only see the items that occur over a certain percentage of time, so we can then start to know and get to know our items that have a high correlation. In addition to the jacket, we can also see, for example, maybe backpacks, gloves and helmets that could also be bought commonly with the product. And the store associate can start to leverage this information, again, helping them to build a more unified shopping experience. If we scroll back up to the top here, we can also start seeing the fact that this particular product has associated 5 reviews with it. So again, as a store associate, we have access to visually seeing these reviews, drilling down into them, and again, reviews can be used to educate the store associate. He or she can even write a review and respond to it. Again, all native functionality offered within NetSuite. So what I'm going to do is, what we can also start to visually see is what we're holding across our entire inventory holding. And this could be across my entire store location, or it could be for a particular store that I want. If I go ahead and select a particular size and colour combination, you notice that the quantity in hand has now changed to 89 in store. If, for example, I had nothing in store, I could actually go ahead and click nearby stores, and what this will allow me to do is actually start visually seeing what my other stores are holding as far as my stock's concerned. So again, if you had nothing in your store, but the customer was keen on this particular product, you could then start having more intelligent conversations around, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, I don't have anything in stock, however, these particular stores do. Would you be interested if we were to place that order on your behalf to have you pick it up from that particular store? Taking that one step further, what we can also start to see is a list of all of our stores, whether they be DCs or whether they be physical brick and mortar stores. We can then start to build what we've got on hand, what we may have available, what might be on back order, or what might be in transit, or you know, what might be in transit in moving its way through the stores. What I could also do, assuming that I had nothing in store or in stock, I can go ahead and create an order directly inside the point of sale. This can actually trigger an in-store pickup from another location or ship to an address. So because I've actually stored all of Susan's addresses as part of built functionality or native functionality within NetSuite CRM, I can see that I've got a home address, Nancy's house and her sister's address all stored. I can also go ahead and create a new address if she wanted this particular item shipped to a different address. What I could also start to do as well is I could start to say to her, well, hang on a minute, we can then start to have conversations around where did you want to actually pick up this item? If you don't want it shipped to a particular home address, how did you want to pick it up? Where did you want to pick it up? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this item to this particular transaction. So not all transactions can be as complex as what we've just seen on the screen. It might be that I, quickly scanned Susan's loyalty card, added her to the transaction, and scanned any barcode that I have for products available in store. We also support multiple tender types. So whilst we support natively cash and credit card and EFT, if a customer decided to actually split that tender up as well, we also support that as native functionality. It's really not always about capturing the sale when it happens, but really confirming dialogue with Susan after the transaction's occurred. So, for example, any item that Susan looks at but doesn't purchase might be something that the store associate may want to actually capture, which can drive future conversations with Susan and other store associates when Susan comes into the shop again. So let's just assume that we don't take payment for this particular jacket and that Susan isn't ready to pay for it on the spot. Rather than putting the item back on the shelf, what we can actually do is I can actually go ahead and have that item saved to one of Susan's existing product lists, or perhaps create a new list. So by going ahead and saving this particular item, I can go ahead and say, you know what, this might be a maybe list. I can go ahead and add that item directly to this particular product list, which means next time Susan walks into store, any store associate that's actually serving Susan will have instant visibility into this information. All she has to do, once this is done, is go home, log online, add the product from her list to her cart, and complete the purchase online, which means she doesn't have to go to the trouble of finding the items on the website again. Again, simplifying further transactions which may occur. Once the transaction is complete, we actually go ahead and tender this out. So let's just assume we're taking a payment now. We can go ahead and apply the payment, and when the transaction is completed, what we can go ahead and do is actually email the receipt. So while that's actually loading, I'm going to go ahead and open up and conclude this particular demonstration through NetSuite's backend. I've now logged in to NetSuite's backend ERP, and I've brought up Susan's customer record. What this has visually enabled me to analyse is not only basic information around Susan and where she lives, but I also start making an assumption around, her gross profit, what her lifetime value is, and perhaps how many loyalty points she's been accumulating with me since she's been shopping. But what this also enables me to do is really obtain a solid customer 360 view around Susan. So within the sales tab, I can start visualising a list of all the transactions that have occurred. It doesn't really matter where those transactions have occurred, whether they be online or whether they be in store. What NetSuite as a platform is enabling you to do is really collate and gather that information in a single system. What I also have the ability to actually see is within the upsell tab, I can start to form assumptions and opinions around what I'm actually upselling and cross-selling to Susan. So anytime she's purchasing a vest, I'm actually going ahead and actually trying to get her to purchase a jacket with it. I can then start to see the correlation and the count. Allowing me to analyse this information gives me more, strong capabilities around how to market to Susan in future when she's shopping, and it doesn't really matter what channel she's shopping in. If we go to the communication tab, we can then start to see a list of all the emails and all the communication that's occurred. So these might be emails that might go out to Susan once she's made a purchase. These might be emails that might go out to her to confirm that she's reached a certain loyalty status. Or it might be electronic EDMs that might go out to her and is asking for a response in a survey or any general form of communication. Again, all captured centrally against the customer record. Finally, how I want to close the loop is around the support. So anytime Susan logs online and has an issue with a product, or perhaps she's received an item and it's faulty or damaged whilst it's been shipped to her, she can go ahead and raise a support case online. And what this actually does, it actually routes that case directly inside NetSuite for a member of the customer service team to actually action. And again, in the customer profile, we've got instant visibility into this information. What I really want to conclude with is, what we're really bringing is essentially bringing the power of merging the online and the physical retail experience into one unified shopping experience for Susan without having to call out to any external systems. All of this information is in real time and in an environment that all of your stores can be a part of. So with that, let's go ahead and take some questions.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now begin the question and answer session. To submit your questions via WebEx, please do this through the Q&A panel located on the right-hand side of your screen.
Okay, so we've got one question which has come in, is can NetSuite send customer marketing emails, or do I still need a product like MailChimp? So the answer to that question is NetSuite has got a built-in marketing engine, so you can go ahead and send your customers EDMs directly out of NetSuite. A second question that has come in is our business has stores in multiple countries. Do we need multiple versions of NetSuite? So no, so NetSuite has got a module called NetSuite One World, which allows you to set up multiple business subsidiaries to all be running under the single NetSuite account. So with One World, you can have your US operations and your Australian operations all living in one NetSuite account where you're sharing product codes and having those products set up as separate, just belonging to separate subsidiaries or even shared across the subsidiaries. That also then manages your financial consolidation and managing all of the finances behind your company in that way as well. I've got a third question here, is how do you manage credit card payments in store? Is the FPOS machine connected to the iPad? So yes, we do manage the credit card payments in store. The FPOS, we do use a separate FPOS terminal in Australia, and we've got an integration then to the FPOS PIN pad, whereas in the US they are slightly different, that they can swipe the credit card directly through the iPad, but it's more just because of the Australian compliance laws. We do have a separate FPOS PIN pad. And then I've got another question that's come in, is what is the difference between SuiteCommerce InStore and NetSuite Point of Sale? So SuiteCommerce InStore is our latest generation point of sale application. We do still have our traditional, which is our older generation point of sale application. The major difference between the two is that the NetSuite point of sale does offer an offline capability, so you can have the store trading offline for a number of days and has an offline database that then synchronizes back up, where SuiteCommerce InStore is running in it's a live environment. So the internet connection does have to be up and all of your transactions are pushing back into NetSuite. What we've really found is that customers have been liking that, is that they don't have to ever worry about, do we have terminals that are online and offline. They are just managing having potentially a redundant internet connection in the store so that they can then manage, have everything live in their entire network. So I'll just pause there and wait for any other further questions, or else we may look to wrap up the session. No, it doesn't seem that there are any other questions coming through, so we may look to close the session off there.